Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of that show that will not be named. I'm your host Brian, or to Game Prince, and whatever you prefer. And today we're coming at you with a very mellow episode. I just slept for the last 12 hours? I'm not sure. I woke up, I had food, and then I went back to sleep. I'm not sure how long I've been asleep, but I figured I'd do a quick little video here, simply talking about one of my favorite pastimes, poetry. Now, the only reason I want to talk about poetry is every time I go on YouTube trying to find shit about poetry, it's always people, how should I say it, like trying to approach things in like a very, it's not a word, I guess, but flase, very professional manner, very, well, this is how you do it, A, B, and C. And I definitely think that poetry, especially in the nowadays, warrants a little in-depth look. I have been writing poetry for I don't know how many years. I'm fairly recent at it. It's only been like 2 or 3 years. In those 2 or 3 years, I actually finished a goal that I set for myself when I first got into poetry, and that goal was to create a poetry trilogy. I just called it like the Beatnik trilogy. It's Beatnik's the first book. It's the thickest. The thinnest is Moxie, and then we have Endocarp. Now this is the Beatnik trilogy. I basically want to make these 3 books just to see if I could do, if kind of like a test on myself, like, do I have it in me to write enough poetry? And it was through writing these 3 books that I realized poetry is very in the air. It's very ethereal. And it's just funny, whenever I watch things on people that try to bog it down, I realize that these individuals are basically just taking their version of it, giving you their best version, when in truth, poetry could be as simple as, in my humble opinion, the schlock that people put out on Instagram nowadays, where it's like 2-sentence poems. Like the poem will be called Heartbroken, and then below it is 2 words, he took, and like that's it. Then there's a period, and then there's a picture of flowers at the bottom. Some fucking dumb shit like that. That could be poetry, Is it good poetry? It's up to you. But, even when it comes to structure, you can write free form. Because I feel when people want to get into poetry, one of the things they're like scared about, because this is one of the things that I was scared about when getting into poetry, was, do I have to rhyme shit? Do I have to make everything, come align perfectly? Do I need to learn any fucking mathematical equations in order to get the shit to work? And the answer is no, you don't need to. Especially with modern poetry, I've been seeing a lot more free form. Just people kind of doing whatever they want. Because I believe that poetry is it's more about, I think, the meaning and emotion that readers can get out of your work, rather than, how rhymey or how, complicated you make the syllables, how complicated the syllable setup is, or anything like that. Like, I can tell you, for example, in my books, it's all free verse. I don't like rhyming or going in any specific order. See, I'm a bit of I go for the aesthetic. I make it all look like the typewriter font, because I'm terrible. But, sorry, the camera's mirrored. But yeah, my poems are very, they almost read as if you're reading just like paragraphs or sentences and stuff like that. But, obviously word arrangement, stuff like that. It's really up to you how you want to write poetry. There's nothing set in stone with it. As much as people try to nail it to your head that, no, it must have A, B, and C. No, it doesn't need A, B, and C. It could really be anything you want. Also, someone brought up a funny point to me the other day. They said that my poetry books were too thick, because in each of these 3 books, I have about 110 poems, and I number them all. And the main reason I did that was because I want to keep track of how many poems I write. and they were telling me, oh, that's so many poems to have in one book. And, regular poetry books don't even break like 40 pages. Sometimes they do. I've seen a lot that do. But like I said, again, when it comes to like collecting your work up, it really comes up to you on how thick or how thin you want to make, your collection. It all depends on how much poetry you got in you, how much you want to share with the world. And I guess if I had to just give one last piece of advice, because this is about to shut off, I'm about to run out of time, is when you're writing poetry, I think just be honest. Write what you know, write about your life, write what you enjoy, and I don't think you can go wrong. So yeah, that's it. Have fun writing, and see you guys next time.